What to wear, what to wear. I really should get a signature scent. It's good morning. It is that time of the week again. Up a little bit earlier because it is my morning essentially that I have off before I do a late shift at work. And obviously in recent weeks I've been doing layering videos, but because I've got so many long sleeves on because it's quite chilly outside, I thought I'd do another sort of mini competition. You would have seen the other week I did one that essentially I talked about fragrances that cut through the cold. Fragrances that, you know, when it's a really, really frosty morning, which one's the one that's the most detectable? And we found that Double Espresso by Fragrance World was the best one. We're going to do something a bit similar today. We're looking at sort of fragrance terms. We hear about cut through the cold, beast mode, projection, but signature scent is another thing that we talk about a lot. And when we're talking about signature scent, we're basically talking about a fragrance that you can wear in many different situations, and essentially it defines you as a person, how you want to be presented to everyone else. It's that type of fragrance, versatile, wear it all year, hot, cold, dress up, dress down, and as I said, it just suits your personality and how you want to wear it. So what I've done today is I've picked 4 fragrances. So I've picked one that's a little bit more expensive, I picked a clone fragrance, I picked a retro fragrance, and really what I'm trying to do, and my signature scent I should say as well, so one that's very popular modern type scent that I think defines me essentially, and they're going to go up against each other, but this isn't about me. So even though I've put my signature scent in it, this is certainly not about me. This is what I think is going to work best for everyone else. And we're going to talk about different situations today. So what I'm going to do quickly, I'm going to apply them one by one, just briefly talk about them and what they smell like. And yeah, then we'll get on with our workout today. We're going to take it on our run. Let's go for the expensive one to start with. Acqua di Parma Colonia Pura. Any of the Acqua di Parma line, particularly in their Colonia line, is fantastic. But they have Blue Mediterraneo as well. They also have some brilliant ones in their concentrate line, but they're a little bit more suited to winter. I mean, if you're going for versatility though, the Colonia line is brilliant. So this is Colonia Pura. This is like a really icy, I'm going to spray it on my arm here today. A really, really nice icy sort of lemon, I should say. It's not super sweet, but there's definitely, it's ozonic, definitely ozonic. But you get this nice icy citrus, and that's what I'd get with a bit of pepper. It's very pleasant. I haven't actually worn this one for a little while. I wore this on a training course for 2 weeks, didn't get sick of it at all, wore it straight when I got back for weeks, and obviously in recent times I've bought it again. So that's that one, just a really high quality citrus fragrance. I think leans slightly more masculine, that one, but obviously we'll talk about that in a bit more detail today. Dior Sauvage, so this is actually a clone of it, the Essence Vault. It is a brilliant clone. I've smelled the obviously original Dior Sauvage, who hasn't? And I think a lot of people now who wear it actually are wearing a clone of it. And yeah, this is a super clone. Blue fragrances, shower gel type smell for me, one you'd throw on in a gym bag. Ambroxan's super heavy in this, slight spice again, slight bit of pepperiness. But yeah, it's very much a younger person, so you've sold so many young people smell like that one. So yeah, that's a cheap clone, to be honest. That one cost me about £23. Acqua di Parma Colonia Pura, just to let you know, it's about £80–90, so quite expensive. This one's our retro fragrance for today. So it's Calvin Klein Obsession, came out in the 1980s, I believe 1986. And this one's slightly different. People may not say this is particularly a signature scent, but it is quite soapy, and with reformulations it's become a lot more wearable. But you get a lot of amber, cinnamon, vanilla. You certainly detect a bit of vanilla in there as well. But it kind of makes this nice expensive smoke, sort of soapy smell, and it's very pleasant. It's a really, really pleasant scent, and I think it's one that came out in that time, but still feels very modern today for me. I absolutely love it. Maybe not for a younger person. Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, but I can't get enough of it. And then finally, my signature scent anyway, the original Terre d'Hermès, came out in 2006. This is a great one. Again, Hermès do amazing natural vegetal type smells, and the orange sort of smell in this is brilliant. It's so earthy. There's a bit of flint in this. There's certainly a smokiness, which I think is coming from a bit of vetiver. And I just get this peppery orange type smell essentially. And it's just, yeah, it's so good. It's one of those fragrances that I've worn for a number of years now. I didn't like it when I initially smelled it. I think the first time I really started to like it was when I get a compliment on it. And then from there, obviously, other people compliment me. I thought, I can't not have it in my collection now. People are saying nice things, and that's that. So what I'm going to do today, we're going to go for a run in a minute. I'm going to do some stretching, and then we're going to talk about the fragrances based on different situations. As I said, signature scents should be versatile in most situations, most ages, all those sorts of things. But we're going to put them in situations. So what one out of those 4 do I think is best for like a job interview? What one do I think is best for a date night? What one do I think is best for just running errands, going to the shops? All those sort of things, going to the gym, running, and then we'll just pick an overall winner based on that. So we'll do maybe 5-6 categories today, then I'll give my overall thoughts on which one I think is the best. So yeah, going to get the stretching done. I'm putting it off a lot here. But yeah, we'll head outside and then we'll do the first 3 categories. Well, I think that rest day definitely did me good yesterday, just as much to freshen the mind as much as the body. So let's start with the first sort of round. We're going to talk about with these 4 phrases, which one do I think is the best signature scent when we're talking about office environments? Which one would I wear? I've had the choice of the 4. Which one do I think is the best for those environments? Well, let's go for one I definitely wouldn't have, and it'd probably be the first one I'd say is I wouldn't go for Calvin Klein Obsession. Not because I don't think it's, a wearable fragrance, but it is an old school scent, and I think for a lot of people, if they're working in an office environment, they want something that's first of all going to be quite safe, quite wearable. And look, if you're in a hot environment, I know in a lot of offices I've worked in, people get cold in there, they sit there and they're freezing because they're not moving enough, they have the radiators on. And I just think with that cinnamon, the vanilla, obviously this one certainly isn't as fresh as some of the other ones in this tournament, I think it'd be quite hard to pull off. It's definitely got a bit more sweet and spicy about it. And I think with it being a slightly older fragrance, if you're a younger person, you might just think this is a little bit too much. Well, I think reformulations, as I was mentioning earlier, have certainly helped that fragrance. But I think it just being a little bit older, and it probably is the most divisive of the 4, it's got to go out of this round. So that one's definitely not going to win. I'm also going to say Dior Sauvage isn't going to win, or the Essence Vault 197. We'll say Dior Sauvage though, because this is a brilliant, brilliant cologne, and it just smells exactly the same. That one's so well known. And look, that's absolutely fine. You're not going to worry about it not being safe. But for me, when I've worked in office jobs, I tend to wear nice, smart, casual clothing. Sometimes I used to wear a sort of tie and a blazer. But I don't think that's what I want with yours. I don't reach for that one. If I'm thinking for a fragrance to wear to the office, that one feels even more casual. And yes, it's got a bit of spice in it. But for me, Dior Sauvage is all about being a bit more casual. And I think in a lot of office environments, they're not that casual. You tend to maybe wear nicer clothes. And for me, that's more one I'd wear in a more gym environment, which we'll talk about later. And then we got the other 2 then. So we're left with the original Terre d'Hermès, or Acqua di Parma, Colonia Pura. And I'm going to give the winner to this round to Colonia Pura. The quality of the citrus of this is fantastic. And again, because it's this icy citrus as well, it means even in those colder climates, even though it's more of a summer-based fragrance, it's just got a little bit more about it. And I think that extra class, that extra quality, you can certainly dress it up, but it's also an eau de cologne, so you can dress it down a little bit more as well without it being too cloying or too heavy. And for that reason, it's going to win this round. So for office scent, Colonia Pura from Acqua di Parma takes the first point. Okay, well, as I've mentioned, gym and workout phrases, I think we might as well go on to that category next. Which one's the best signature scent when we're talking about workout fragrances? And I think this is quite an easy win for me. This is Dior Sauvage. Now, before I go into that one, I just want to say I've actually had compliments from 2 of these phrases while doing runs outside. One was Calvin Klein Obsession when I was on a run in the woods, doing some trail running with some friends. One of them said to her friend, she didn't know me that well at the time because we run in quite a big group. Someone smells really nice, and she knew it was me, but she wouldn't say it to me because she didn't know me. And then one of my other friends said, oh yeah, that's Harry's spray. So he'd obviously noticed it as well, but hadn't mentioned it. So it obviously had enough of a kick outside to project. You don't think of that one as an outdoorsy trail running type scent, but it just shows if you can get noticed, and because it's got so much complexity in that fragrance, as I was saying earlier, it's got sweet elements, it's got floral elements, it's got those soapy clean elements. It works really well, and it gets compliments. And obviously, as I've mentioned this one before, but at the gym, a lady recognised it because she bought her husband it from years ago, and it just got her back into fragrances. After she smelled it on me, she started buying some for herself again, because she's like, that's so nice. It reminds you of how nice it is sometimes to buy a nice fragrance. But I think Dior Sauvage, when I'm at the gym, I always go next to a treadmill next to the drinks machine, and it's undoubtedly that's the fragrance DNA I smell the most when men are filling up their water bottles. And it does give off that vibe of young, athletic, relaxing, calming, but it's then also got that complexity, because a lot of people like myself, we shower at the gym and then you go on to work after that sometimes. And that one does that best for me because it hasn't got that heaviness where you can't sort of wash it off with exercise. It's not too formal, but it's got enough depth about it where you can wear it then for the rest of your day. And it also performs pretty well overall. So for that reason, Dior Sauvage definitely has to win this round. It's a stunner for those occasions. It really is a stunner. But look, all 4 fragrances are absolutely fantastic. There's nothing wrong with any of them for that environment. Again, you might want to tone your sprays down with some of them, but they're great. They're really, really good. But yeah, Dior Sauvage, it is the ultimate gym athletic scent for me, and it represents that sporty vibe for those that like their exercise like myself. Another important situation where people tend to apply a fragrance course are date night situations. And when I think of those situations, I tend to think more the winter time, maybe going to a nice restaurant and then maybe going to watch a film or something along those lines. They're the sort of situation where you might wear a fragrance, maybe just at home watching a film, Netflix and chill, as people say. So what fragrance out of these do I think is the best for those situations? What signature scent do I think would leave the best impression? Well, look, I think in some ways signature scents tend to be quite basic, and I mean that in the sense that they tend to be more woody notes, they tend to be more fresh citrusy notes, so they can sort of be worn casually and in the summer, and they tend to be a bit lighter as their overall performance suggests. And you know, when I think of sort of date night or scents that I would wear for those situations, I think more boozy, sweet, more gourmand type scents, and that's not really what you want in a signature scent, because you want to be able to wear them at the gym, you know, in those more casual situations, whereas this isn't necessarily a casual situation, and you want it to have a bit more oomph as well, so it gets noticed. So for that reason, I think Dior Sauvage is too well known. It's a scent that I said someone might go, oh, that's what my last date smelled like, because it's such a well-known type fragrance. You don't want to smell like everyone else, especially if you're into fragrances. You've got better knowledge than that. You've got a better range of fragrances that you might be aware of. I think Acre de Parme Coin Pure is brilliant for its quality, and it's certainly one that, you know, if you're going for like a sophisticated lunch date or something, it's brilliant. But it is an eau de cologne, and that one's probably the worst in terms of performance, in terms of getting noticed, projecting, kicking off the skin. Although I do think you could wear that one, as I said, as much seriously, you know, as dress up as you can dress down. But it is a little bit more mature, a bit more serious, and less seductive, let's say, in that sense. Then you've obviously got Terre d'Hermès, that's got me a lot of compliments, but for me, it lacks a bit of sweetness. Look, it's smoky, spicy, which certainly means you can dress it up, but it hasn't got anything about it that I think is overly seductive. I think it's just one that's got that formal quality again, very natural smelling. Again, it's going to leave a good impression, but it doesn't feel like a real nighttime wear type fragrance for me. It feels very much more of a daytime scent, which you can wear all through the, you know, through the seasons. And that leaves Obsession for me. But Obsession's an old scent, it's a recognisable scent, but not many people wear this at all anymore. But it still smells one. It's got soapy facets, it's got the floral facets, you know, spicy facets, and it's got that little bit of sweetness from the vanilla, which I just think is going to tilt the edge. It's a seductive scent for me, I think it really is. And it's got that animalic vibe, which I do think has an alluring quality, whether people admit it or not. So I'm going to say for this round, for a date night scent, it doesn't break the bank either. Calvin Klein Obsession, you get an extra 25ml juice as well, 125ml bottle, no brainer for me. On to the next one, so sort of high pressured situations I'm going to call this round. And really what I'm getting at here is things like job interviews, maybe a driving test, or any sort of form of public speaking. Let's be honest, who enjoys any of those things? Very select few do, but most of us dread them, and it can mean you get a bit hot and stressed, and then you might smell. And I can give you a bit of a story. When I had my driving test, I failed my first one, a silly mistake I made, and I remember my second one was in the afternoon at 3:30, and I was really worried because I was thinking, obviously the pressure of my granddad was supporting me financially with the lessons. I didn't want to pay for any more after this, and it was also the time everyone was finishing school, so I thought the traffic's going to be awful, you know, more pressure, all those things. So I remember I got there, I had a lesson, I drove down, my instructor let me have an hour before just to practice some things, and I was getting hot and bothered. The car was warm because it'd been in the sun, and I could sort of smell sweat on myself. I did not BO, but just that sort of, that smell of sweat. It's not very pleasant. I thought, I smell. And I'd put a fragrance on, I'd showered a couple of hours before because I'd been for a run. I just thought I smelled. It's because I didn't put a very strong spray on. It was a cheap one from Next that just had no performance at all. It's just a Fresh Aquatic, a really boring one. And I think in job situations, of course, if we go back to interviews as well, you're going to want something to stand out as much as you obviously want to stop yourself from smelling. And the Axe department just doesn't have the strength for me. I think if I'd worn that fragrance pure and done my driving test, I think I still would have smelled, because it's an overclose, essentially one that you just top up through the day, nothing too much more than that. And I think the Eau Sauvage wouldn't make you memorable, so if you want to be remembered for your fragrance in a job interview, that one's going to be a little bit boring. And it's just not unique enough for someone to remember you by. Calvin Klein Obsession, look, I said it's been reformulated, it's certainly lighter than it used to be, but it has got those sweet spicy notes that I think are quite dominant with the florals and an old school vibe, which gives it that heavier notes. And again, if you're under pressure and you're feeling a bit nervous as well, those notes can be quite heavy on you, a bit cloying, and it can make you feel uncomfortable, a bit skanky. And as I said, that animalic vibe might just be too much for you more than anyone else. So the winner for this round for me is Terre d'Hermès. Look, I've worn this in many situations, not necessarily job interviews, but I've worn it in situations where I've done like public speaking. I used to have to do presentations in front of people, and do demonstrations for like archery sessions. And if you've got that comfort of a scent that you can recognise, and this one can last all day, it's not overpowering because it's not really heavy, it's got no real sweet notes, but it's got good performance with this one. You'll notice it through the day and it can be quite calming, thinking, oh, I can smell my fragrance. There's a little bit of a distraction from feeling, am I feeling too hot? Am I feeling red in the face? Are people noticing it? It can be that nice calming distraction, but it's also got enough performance and enough, not many people really wear this scent, to the point that someone might also say a good comment, and that'll make you feel better about your day as well. It makes you a bit more memorable, and it will certainly calm you down. So I'm going to say the winner for pressure situations is the original Terre d'Hermès. I must admit, I'm at this point of the run where I don't know how many rounds I've done because I'm so worn out. So there might be one that's won a couple of rounds, but I believe they've all won a round in their own right. So I kind of want to finish this video with, what one do I think? If I had to recommend one, someone said to me now, I just want one that can do all these jobs. I don't want to have 4 of them like I do. Which one would you recommend that I get? Well, look, I'm going to just first of all say, I know I said I'm just going to recommend one. They are all brilliant, and obviously if you're into your fragrances, I think they could all be bought. I don't think any of these are redundant. Yes, they can be used in many different situations. They are versatile, and that's why they're good signature scents. They can be used in different occasions a lot, but I think they're all really good, and they all have their benefits in different ways, which is what I'm hoping you would have got from some of the things I've mentioned today, whether that's interviews or more casual sporty environments. But to pick one, I think for me signature scents need to be a trade-off between scent quality, performance, and also its uniqueness, because you want it to define you. And if you're someone like me who's into this and you've been watching these, you probably have an interest in the fragrances, and that means you probably want to smell a little bit different from the rest. And for that reason, I'm going to take the Dior Sauvage one out. I don't think it's got the highest quality as a fragrance, though. It smells quite a synthetic fragrance to me in general, even the original, not just the clone. And yes, it performs well, but it does feel more that casual one that a lot of people know and recognise. And for me, I just don't think that ticks the boxes as much as some of the others. Now, then we go on to things like Axe Parfum Cologne Pura. For me, the best quality of the lot, but it's not overly unique. Look, it's unique in the sense it does smell like one of the best citrus fragrances out there. And for that reason, you can go, yes, brilliant, what a scent. And the thing that's going to mark it down, the reason I'm not going to pick it as the winner today, is because of its performance. It's an eau de cologne, because it's those lighter notes, those citrus notes, but it is quality. And I just think, for me, it's too good for something like the gym. It's too nice for those situations. But also, I think it's too good to wear casually, but not good enough in the sense it's not got enough depth about it to be worn in those more formal situations, which means it's a good signature because it's never going to be wrong anywhere. But I wouldn't wear that just for all these errands. I think it's too expensive for what you're getting essentially for an eau de cologne, even though the quality is number one for me. So then it leaves Calvin Klein Obsession for Men or the original Terre d'Hermès. I would say retro phrases are a bit more divisive, and they certainly are. And while I think that one has got its quality and it's good value for money, I just think it gets marked down on the fact that it is an old school scent, and it does smell a little bit, even though I think it's got that modern timeless vibe, it does smell something that's a little bit in the past, and those vanilla edges to it on a really hot day, it's going to be a lot. And I wouldn't want to wear that one for the gym or anything like that if I'm sweating, even though I've had confidence on it when I'm doing outdoor exercise, and I do think it's got that real complexity about it. I think it has to be marked down there, but I think the fact it's so available to buy online, you know, it's a good price, it hasn't changed over the years, and people just don't wear it anymore, will certainly make you stand out in terms of uniqueness. So again, a brilliant scent. I'd have to go for my signature scent, the original Terre d'Hermès. Look, there's great flankers of this one as well, and there's does some brilliant natural type fragrances as well, but this one's just got that real balance and great performance. It's nothing too daring. That you've got things like Flint in it, which you don't recognise in a lot of scents, and it's maybe not for a younger person, but what it does is it performs really well. It smells natural, it smells quality. You can get many different bottle sizes of this, so I've got a 200ml bottle, but you can get it 100ml and all of those. And again, it's not, even though it's a well-cloned scent, well-known scent, not many people are wearing it. And look, if you think it's too expensive to take it everywhere with you, get a clone just to top up through the day. It will do those jobs really well. I think it's just a brilliant fragrance. It's got smokiness and depth about it. And as I said, if you tone your sprays down, I've had compliments at the gym with it as well, and I certainly didn't expect that. I've had people message me on Facebook asking what that is, and it's just defined this. So it wasn't a love at first, but over time it's grown on me, and you can just try this as a clone first, see what you think about it, and I think, like me, you'll end up loving it in the end. First of all, because people will love it on you, and eventually that will just transfer over to your own opinion as well. So today I've got to give it to that window. You can get it for about £60-70 for 100ml in most retail shops, but you can normally find it online 175-200ml for about £76-80 regularly, and I think that's a steal. So I definitely recommend the original Terre d'Hermès, and also their flankers. They got some brilliant flankers in there. Tried an intense one the other day, and it was a really good one. My brother loved it. Slightly more smoky, more depth. I love Eau Givre, a little bit lighter. So yeah, definitely a range to explore, as is Hermès as a company, as a fragrance line itself. But yes, thank you very much for watching today. Apologies, I've been waffling on, I'm out of breath now. Can't wait to get back and have something to eat. Catch you later.